Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. So, Shri Prabhupada. Welcome to devotees to today's morning class. Unfortunately, sadly, I don't think we will have Candramauli Swami joining with us this morning. Today, I apologize because from what I'm hearing, he might be traveling. I took a chance, to actually see if Maharaj would join, but thinking that he might be able to manifest himself in several places at one time, but is not able to. So I request devotees to please allow me to do what little service I can for Maharaj, for filling in for him for this morning's class. So we will start with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 19, verses 9 to 10. So without further delay, I will read the verse and we'll go straight into the purport. Atrir Vashista Chavana Saradvyan, Arista Nemir Brighur Angirascha, Parashara Gadi Suto Tarama, Utatya Indra Pramadve Ma Vaho, Medha Titir Devala Artistiseno, Bharatvajo Gautama Pipalada, Maitreya Orvaka Vasha Kumbhayonir, Dvapayano Bhagavan Naratascha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. From different parts of the universe, there arrive great sages like Atri, Chavana, Saradvan, Arishtanemi, Brigu, Vashista, Parashara, Vishwamitra, Angira, Parshuram, Utatya, Indra Pramada, Itmavahu, Medatiti, Devala, Artisena, Bharatvaja, Gautama, Pipalada, Maitreya, Orva, Kavasha, Kumbhayoni, Dvapayana, and the great personality, Narada. Purport. Chavana, a great sage and one of the sons of Brigu. He was born prematurely when his pregnant mother was kidnapped. Chavana is one of the 6 sons of his father. Brigu, wherein Brahmaji was performing a great sacrifice on behalf of Varuna, Maharishi Brigu was born from the sire. He was a great sage, and his very dear wife was Puloma. He could travel in space like Durvasa, Narada, and others, and he used to visit all the planets of the universe. Before the battle of Kurukshetra, he tried to stop the battle. Sometimes he instructed Bharadvaj Muni about astronomical evolution, and he's the author of the great Briga Samhita, the great astrological calculation. He explained how air, fire, water, and earth are generated from ether. He explained how the air in the stomach works and regulates the intestines. As a great philosopher, he logically established the eternity of the living entity, Mahabharat. He was also a great anthropologist, and the theory of evolution was long ago explained by him. He was a scientific propounder of the 4 divisions and orders of human society, known as the Varnashram institution. He converted the Kshatriya king Vitahavya into a Brahmana. Vashista, Srimad Bhagavatam 196, which I'm sure we covered earlier on because we are in 199 and 10 now. Parashara, he's the great son of Vashista Muni and father of Vyasadeva. He's the son of Maharishi Shakti, and his mother's name was Adrishakti. He was in the womb of his mother when she was only 12 years old, and from within the womb of his mother, he learned the Vedas. His father was killed by a demon, Kalmashapada, and to avenge this, he wanted to annihilate the whole world. He was restrained, however, by his grandfather Vashista. He then performed a Rakshasa killing yajna, but Maharshi Pulastva restrained him. He begot Vyasadeva, being attracted by Satyavati, who was to become the wife of Maharaj Shantanu. By the blessings of Parashara, Satyavati became fragrant for miles. He was present also during the time of Bhishmadev. He was the original master of Maharaj Janak and a great devotee of Lord Shiva. He is the author of many Vedic scriptures and sociological directions. Gadisutha of Vishwamitra, a great sage of austerity and mystic power, He's famous as Gadi Sutta because his father was Gadi, a powerful king of the province of Kanyakubja. Yes, Kanyakubja, part of Uttar Pradesh. Although he was a Kshatriya by birth, he became a Brahmana in the very same body by the power of his spiritual achievements. He picked a quarrel with Vashishta Muni when he was a Kshatriya king and performed a great sacrifice in cooperation with Matanga Muni, and thus was able to vanquish the sons of Vashishta. He became a great yogi, and yet he failed to check his senses, and thus was obliged to become the father of Shakuntala, the beauty queen of the world history. Once, when he was a Kshatriya king, he visited the hermitage of Vashishta Muni. He was given a royal reception. Vishwamitra wanted from Vashishta a cow named Nandini, and the Muni refused to deliver it. Vishwamitra stole the cow, and thus there was a quarrel between the sage and the king. Vishwamitra was defeated by the spiritual strength of Vashishta, and thus the king decided to become a Brahmana. Before becoming a Brahmana, he underwent severe austerity on the bank of Kaushika. He was also one who tried to stop the Kurukshetra war. Angira, he is one of the 6 mental sons of Brahmana and the father of Brihaspati, the great learned priest of the demigods in the heavenly planets. He was born of the semen of Brahmaji given to a cinder of fire. Utatya and Samvarta are his sons. It is said that he is still performing austerity and chanting the holy names of the Lord at a place known as Alokananda on the banks of the Ganga. Wow, he's still performing austerity till this day. Amazing. Parashuram, see Srimad Bhagavatam 196, which we have covered. Utatya, one of the 3 sons of Maharishi Angira. He was a spiritual master of Maharaj Mandata. He married Bhadra, the son of Soma, moon. Varuna kidnapped his wife Bhadra, and to retaliate the offense of the god of water, he drank all the water of the world. Medaditi, an old sage of yore, an assembly member of the heavenly king Indradev. His son was Kanva Muni, who brought up Shakuntala in the forest. He was promoted to the heavenly planet by strictly following the principles of retired life, Vanaprast. Devala, a greater authority of Narada Muni and Vyasadeva. His good name is on the list of authorities mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. When Arjuna acknowledged Lord Krishna as a supreme personality of Godhead, he met Maharaj Yudhishthira after the battle of Kurukshetra, and he was the elder brother of Domya, the priest of the Pandava family. Like the Kshatriyas, he also allowed his daughter to select her own husband in the Swayamvara meeting. And at that ceremony, all the bachelor sons of the rishis were invited. According to some, he is not Ashita Devala. Bharadvaj, see Srimad Bhagavatam 196, which we have covered. Gautama, one of the 7 great sages of the universe, Saradvyan Gautama, was one of his sons. Persons in the Gautama Gotra dynasty today are either his family descendants or in his disciplic succession. The Brahmanas who profess Gautama Gotra are generally family descendants, and the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas who profess Gautama Gotra are all in the line of his disciplic succession. He was a husband of the famous Ahalya, who turned into stone when Indradev, the king of heaven, molested her. Ahalya was delivered by Lord Ramachandra. Gautama was the grandfather of Kripacharya, one of the heroes of the battle of Kurukshetra. Maitreya, a great rishi of yore. He was a spiritual master of Vidur and a great religious authority. He advised Dhritarashtra to keep good relations with the Pandavas. Duryodhan disagreed and thus was cursed by him. He met Vyasadeva and had religious discourses with him. Om Agnatimirandhyasya Gana Gana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. That was one long, very, very long purport. But I hope as we were listening to this beautiful yet mini description of each of these great sages, we get to see how great Maharaj Parikshit was. Because if we study the past few verses, Maharaj Parikshit sat on the banks of the Ganga to, to hear the holy names, to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, because he had 7 days. And he gave up everything, his attachments to the royal life, kingdom, put someone in charge of the kingdom, put his crown down, walked out. And this news spread all over the universe. And if you see it, it says in the translation, different parts of the universe, all the great sages, along with their disciples, were coming. So it's not just the great sages, it's also their disciples. Very powerful. So imagine just for a moment that here's Maharaj Parikshit sitting on the bank of the Ganga, have 7 days to live, and then he dies. And all he wants to hear is the glories of the Lord by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Sukadev Goswami. And the news spread all over the different parts of the universe, right? And they all come flying down. And the excuse for them was, let me go dip myself in the Ganga. But actually, they came to hear the holy name, to hear the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is something for us to really meditate on and ask. The great sages were willing to travel long, far, and beyond, no matter what it took, just on the excuse, okay? Excuse me, didn't sleep well last night. That's why I'm kind of yawning quite a bit. On the excuse of wanting to take a bath in the Ganga, but actually the real reason for them to travel far, far is to come here, Srimad Bhagavatam, spoken by Sukadev Goswami. And we all know how great Sukadev Goswami, he himself was a great sage. Great, great, great sage. Now, why would great sages want to hear from another great sage? This is something that helps us to check ourselves, Sometimes when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam class, we have, depending on the speaker, right? We have selective hearing. Oh, I've heard her speak before. I don't want to hear it. Oh, I've heard him speak before. He's okay. I've heard this person speak. Yeah, he's okay. Right? We have, by us thinking that way, classifying the devotees in certain categories as an offense. That's not the right Vaishnava etiquette. We should be ready and eager to hear from everyone. I mean, look at this. Just by the short description of each of the great sages itself gave me goosebumps. Because they were great sages. But the great sages are traveling far and beyond to hear from another great sage. Now, I don't know if many of us, have seen this, but whenever we are in a gathering, I'm talking with an ISKCON, whenever we are in a gathering of sannyasis and gurus, whoever is giving the class, whichever sannyasi is giving the class, we will see all the sannyasis attending the class. Any guru, any sannyasi that's giving class, if there's a group of 10 sannyasis in an event or occasion, if one of the 10 sannyasis is giving the class or guru is giving the class, all the 9, they're attending it. They don't say, oh, I've heard my God brother's class. I don't need to hear it again. Oh, I've heard my God sister's class. I don't need to hear it again. Yeah, she's okay. No, they all attend because they respect each other very, very highly without considering themselves to be a guru. Without considering themselves, I'm also a spiritual master. I'm also a sannyasi. I'm also a guru. I'm also a senior devotee. Why do I have to listen to another guru and sannyasi and, spiritual master and senior devotee? I don't need to. I have my own position. I'm senior. They're junior. Why do I have to listen? They never said that. Equally, they will hear. I've seen it so many times in ISKCON. Any great, gatherings and events that consist of senior devotees and proper disciples and gurus and sannyasis, they all attend the classes of their God brothers and God sisters without segregation. And this is the lesson that I personally am getting. This is my personal reflection from this beautiful verse that is helping us to think how we should hear from everyone. Even if we are senior, hear from the junior. If we are junior, hear from the senior. If we are senior, hear from the senior. If we are junior, hear from the junior. Mutual respect. Mutual respect. And I think the culture of respect is, in today's time and age, is gradually dwindling. The culture of respect and honor is gradually dwindling. It's really, really sad. But here is also teaching us how the great sages are coming from all over the world, all over the universe, far and wide, to hear the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, many of the sages, they know Bhagavatam, they know Krishna, they know who he is. They know that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They know his pastimes, they know his incarnations, they know everything. But why do they want to travel far and wide to hear it again? Because one, it's spoken by Sukadeva Goswami. And two, does it hurt to hear it again? And again, and again, and again? No. I know personally, when I read the Bhagavad Gita many years ago, in my early days of Krishna consciousness, I had one understanding at that time because I was a baby in Krishna consciousness, right? Crawling stages, as they say. And then you hear it again 5 years later, and you have, whoa, I didn't have that 5 years ago. Then you hear it again another 5 years, and you said, whoa, I heard this verse, but now I got a deeper understanding than I did 10 years ago. Then you hear the same verse again 15 years later, and you're like, wow, another realization. Then you hear it 20 years later, another realization, right? It goes deeper. It goes deeper. So that same verse that we have heard over and over and over again over the course of our practicing devotional service, it goes deeper. We get deeper realizations, deep thoughts, self-reflection. How can I work on myself? See, sometimes when we read Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and all the other, scriptures, first and foremost, we should get a realization from it. It shouldn't be, oh, I got this point, so I'm going to go tell that person that, look, this is what the Bhagavad Gita said, and then you're not living up to it. No. First, we have to get our own realization, awareness, reflection, digest it, and really apply it before we tell someone else to apply. That is the beauty of the Holy Scriptures. Is for us. It's for us. First, it's for us. Rather than going out and saying, look, this is what the verse says, and the person is not doing it. First, it's for us. It's for us to get self-awareness, look within ourselves, understand it, meditate on it, and see how I can, apply it in my own Krishna consciousness. And then keep applying it. Keep applying it. It's like a wound, right? For example, if we have a scratch or a wound or a bruise or whatever, we have to apply the medicine. And sometimes one medicine that we apply may not work for another person. Different slopes for different strokes, as they say, right? So we have to, like I know, like in my family, between my husband and I and my girls, there are certain medicines that will work for me. It doesn't do anything to them, to my family members. And there are certain medicines that they use. It doesn't work for me at all. Different strokes for different strokes. So whatever medicine that works for me, I have to apply it and make sure that it heals the wound on my body. And then I can say, oh, such and such a medicine really works for me. Well, let me see. And say if someone else has that same wound and we apply it on them and they'll say, no, Anasuya, it didn't work for me. It did a very little healing, but it's not going away. So that means they need a different kind of medicine. Interesting. I was talking to one young girl that came to my temple on Sunday. It's the second time. Young girl. Married, but very young, And she was sharing her personal struggles with me to the point where she cried. And she said, Mataji, I'm fearful. I'm scared. And I have been dealing with that situation with another Mataji in my temple who has been going through fear. And the medicine that I shared with her by the mercy of my spiritual master is working for this other Mataji that I am counseling, who has the same fear issue. So I gave that medicine, I shared that medicine with this young married girl. It's not working because her fear is from a different angle. So I said to myself, I told her, I said, you know what? Your fear is different. Your medicine needs to come from a different angle. Different slokas for different strokes. We have to first apply the medicine to ourselves. Understand what is in this for me to apply to, for me to improve my Krishna consciousness. So, and then we should believe, we should believe in it. The key point is we should believe in the medicine. Once we believe in the medicine, we can share that same medicine to someone else who is hurting. And sometimes we ourselves need one medicine. Like like a few months ago, I think it was 3-4 months ago, I had this really, really, and I think Srimati knows about it. And I had this really bad virus infection, bacterial infection on my lip, really bad. It just blew up over the course of 3 days from a simple common cold. Never had this before. And I literally looked like Hanuman. I'm not joking. I literally looked like Hanuman. It blew up. Even I was scared to see my face in the mirror. I was like, who is this being? Where did you come from? And I went to the hospital. I went to the urgent care, clinic, and they gave me 4 medicines. They said one won't do. You need 4 medicines. I was like, and I hate medicines. I don't like hospitals. I don't like Kleenex. I don't like injections. That's just how I am. Hate medicines. She says, you must take 4. I said, 4 medicines? She goes, yeah, you have a serious bacterial infection. I said, 1 won't do. She said, no. So the 4 medicines for 1 disease. 4 medicines for 1 disease. And some of us have that situation where 1 disease, 1 sickness requires more than 1 medicine. And if we apply and use and take the 4 medicines or however many medicines that is required for 1 disease, we'll see the results. But we have to be on it. If we slip 1 dose of the medicine, it takes longer for the disease to heal. And some people, for that same disease, they might need 2 medicines, not 4. For the same disease. Some might need 5, 6. I don't know. Like my mother, when, she had like a lot of health issues and she was taking like 13, 14 medicines a day. And my father has some of what she has. He's only taking 3 a day. But the point here is we have to make sure that we take the medicine. That's why they say, there's this common phrase, right? Physician, heal thyself. We forget that even the doctors fall sick and they also must take medicine. Sometimes we think that the doctors are Amar, immortal. They will never fall sick because they're doctors. How can they fall sick? They're doctors. No, they do fall sick and they take medicines. And they're telling us, you should also take your medicine. So what is our medicine? Hearing. Srila Prabhupada says the first and foremost of the 9 devotional practices is Shravanam. Shravanam. I can't tell you how, what's the word? Grateful I am, because in the beginning stages of my Krishna consciousness, I didn't have the chance to hear so much because I was always engaged in service. Not that I regretted doing service. I loved doing the service. It was either cooking, it's either cooking or devotional services. DT service, one or the other in the mornings. So I never got to hear so much Bhagavatam classes, for many years, but always enjoyed doing service. And I used to think, will I ever get to hear classes in the morning because I'm always doing service? And when the children came, then raising the children, my time went there, then it went to work. And I said, and this used to always be the back of my mind for many, many years. Will I ever get to hear Bhagavatam classes in the morning because I'm getting old? And that used to be my fear, biggest fear, because I was so much engaged that I didn't have time. Yes, I did hear some here and there, but every morning, couldn't. But now, Krishna has given me the blessing and the opportunity that I get to hear Bhagavatam every day. And I said, okay, Krishna, thank you so much, but I'm going to be a little more greedy. I said, there's 12 cantos. I don't think I'll live 12,000 years. Will I get to it? That's my other fear. Will I get to it? I said, okay, Krishna, you got to give me some idea here because I said, not that I march Parikshit, not at all, but I would like to complete it before I leave my body, So we need to have that hankering of wanting to hear. And why we don't have that hankering is because of our association. If you see this verse, these were great sages. They were in perfect, pure association. Perfect, pure association. We have to check our association. Is our association encouraging us to hear? Is our association encouraging me to chant? Is our association encouraging me to do service? Is our association encouraging me to go above and beyond to do what it needs to get done for the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Or is my association telling me, you've done one service for the week. I think it's good enough. You know, I was reading a beautiful article by a disciple of His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami. There are two. One is Mahavishnu Swami, the other one is Mahavishnu Goswami. He left his body in 2010. And the disciple wrote a very nice article called Determination in Krishna Consciousness. To the degree that we are determined to strengthen and progress in Krishna consciousness, to that degree, the Lord will give us channels, avenues, and opportunities to engage in devotional service. If our determination is not strong, that means we have lack of spiritual faith in the process. Beautiful article. In fact, he was saying, if we look at a perfect situation, right? A devotee, when they join Krishna consciousness, they are supposed to grow in Krishna consciousness. They should be doing more service, more reading, more chanting, more this. It is supposed to grow. But you know what? It doesn't happen. And in my 30-something years of practicing Krishna consciousness and my personal experience, the wrench gets thrown at us around the 10th year of us practicing. I saw that in my life. Around the 10th year of devotional service, we get tested. Around 5 to 10 years, we're like, come on, Anasuya, you've done service for 10 years. Now your work needs you. An opportunity for you to get more money and get a raise in the company. You've done enough service for 10 years. So you know what? You just tell the pujari or your temple president, you know what? I can't do service because I need to do more work. Maharaj says in this, this devotee says in this article, whenever our material commitment increases, the first thing that suffers, that we akraman, that we attack, is devotional service. We give that up first. That's the first thing we give up. The first thing that we say is, I cannot do my devotional service because my material commitments need me. That is the first thing that goes out of the window. When that happens, that means we don't have enough faith in the spiritual process of juggling the ball between material and spiritual. We put material stuff in the front. Lots of excuses. My wife, my husband, my children, my school, my job, my mom, my dad, my country, my president. The list goes on. And they're all material. But we are willing to give up and end our devotional service for material reasons. And I personally can share that once we give up devotional service, guess what? The mercy goes to the other person who's hankering for it. When that mercy switches to the other person, will we get it back? No. Because we made that choice to give it up. We are saying, Krishna, I really don't have time for you right now. I got to cut you off my roster because my material needs need me. I got to cut you off or come back when I need you. We got to be very careful about that. That was a wake-up call for me when I read that article. Determination in Krishna consciousness. We have to check ourselves. How determined are we? Are we willing to go above and beyond for service? Are we willing to make inconveniences for service? Are we willing to come out of our comfort zone for service? Are we willing to, sacrifice make sacrifices for our service. Because Prabhupada did all that. Prabhupada did all that. He inconvenienced his body at the age of 70 to come to a foreign country that he has never been to out of India. Foreign people, crazy people in America, and meat eating and smoking and LSD and drugs and what have you. He inconvenienced himself. He went out of his comfort zone, completely out of his comfort zone. Completely, like literally plucking the fish out of the water. He went out of his comfort zone, and he sacrificed so much. And we have to ask ourselves, can I do 1% of inconvenience? 1% of coming out of my comfort zone? 1% of sacrifice for Srila Prabhupada? Because he did 100%. Can I do a little bit? Just a little bit. At the age of 70, and went through 2 heart attacks. If Prabhupada wanted to, Prabhupada could have said, you know what? I had 2 heart attacks on the Jaladuta. He could have told the captain, when you guys turn around to go back to India, I'll go back with you guys. He could have. He could have. He didn't. He stayed back. He sacrificed on the mercy and belief of the spiritual master's words. Full faith. He was willing to sacrifice. He was willing to inconvenience himself, and he absolutely came out of the comfort zone completely. So it's actually a reflection for us to check ourselves, how much do I want to hear? How much am I willing to inconvenience myself? How much am I willing to come out of my comfort zone? How much am I willing to sacrifice? There's a god sister of mine who lives in Maryland. Her name is Mother Padma. If Sri Devi is online, she knows her very well. She lives an hour away from the temple. Same state, in state of Maryland. She drives 1 hour, 3 to 4 times a week to do deity service. She drives 3 to 4 times a week to do deity service. And she will drive 1 hour every week to dress the deities in the morning, Radha, Madhura, Mohan, in the ISKCON DC temple. 1 hour she would drive. And the same distance it takes, she serves in 2 temples, DC temple and Baltimore temple. And they're 1 hour distance. One way, I'm talking about 1 way, not 2 ways. 1 way, 1 hour. She's about 70 something now. She still does it. She can say, you know what? And her husband left his body. Murari Gupta left his body, I think 2 years ago, 3 years ago. He was 92. 2 years ago, something like that. Till today, she still does it. So she could say, you know what? I'm 70 something years old. My husband passed away. I'm a widow. I'll just sit and do my own bhajan in my house. She could say that. She's not doing it. She drives an hour to Baltimore temple, an hour to DC temple to do service. Whether it be deity service, making garlands, she still does it till this very day. Are we willing to drive that 1 hour? Are we willing to inconvenience ourselves? No, we are not, because we are too attached to our comfort. We forget to think, how much did Prabhupada sacrifice for us? Can we do 0.1%? Not even 1%. 0.01. That's the size of a mustard seed. Can we do that? And what makes me push myself is Prabhupada. Sometimes I'm so tired. But I said, Prabhupada, you got to kick this body. I said, Prabhupada, I don't know how you did it, but can you please kick my body? Kick my body so I can move to go serve. We have to make such prayers, because we have to know our weaknesses and our faults and our anarthas and our blocks, our ego, everything, and ask the guru and ask Prabhupada, kick me so I can do something for you. Because my mind is so stubborn, you got to kick it. You got to kick it. And I always push myself. And I always pray, kick me because I can go down, kick me. So it's very important that we really see this verse, great sages with their disciples coming to hear from another great sage because they are hankering to hear the glories of the Lord from the lips of Sukadev Goswami, traveling out of their comfort zone, like in different parts of the universe, not just one, different parts. It's not the Milk Galaxy, this galaxy, that galaxy, whatever. They're coming out of their comfort zone, out of their homes, out of their universe, out of their loka to come and hear. Wow. And Prabhupada went through how many oceans to come from India to America in 1 month? 2 heart attacks. And to drive 20 minutes to go to the temple, we call, Prabhuji, can you pick this up for me because I'm too tired? I get those calls a lot, quite a bit. The more we hear and read and learn about Prabhupada, the more it's going to give us the determination to come out of our comfort zone, travel far and wide to hear, to be in the right association, to hear the right thing in the right association, to hear the right message from the right person in the right association. So this is my realization. It's completely my thoughts and my realization that I remind myself every day to push myself to do a little bit of service because Prabhupada and my spiritual master did. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to ask devotees if you have any questions, any comments, any reflections, and would love to hear your takeaway. Actually, if you have any takeaways, better than questions because Marge is not here. Please, do share your thoughts. I would love to hear what inspires you to go out of your comfort zone. Yes, Sridevi, please go ahead.
Thank you, my dear Anasia, for holding the fort and making sure that we get to hear something on these transcendental topics. I'm very grateful for that.
Marge is pushing me. He's telling me to come out of my comfort zone.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada, all glories to our wonderful Guru Maharajas. I was thinking just as you spoke that how easy it is to shrug off responsibility and say, oh, this is so difficult. Can somebody else do it? Can you pick it up? Or can you do this? Or I cannot do it today. Today, this thing has happened, that thing has. So we come across these situations.
A lot.
A lot, yeah. So while we are encouraged not to do those things ourselves, when it is done to us, how should we react in that situation? Or rather, how should we respond to somebody? You're relying on them for something, you've arranged a home program or you've arranged an event at the temple, or you're just trying to take up an initiative, something. And people, have been assigned or taken up some responsibility. But then suddenly, oh, I cannot go to the store today because, oh, I will not be able to come for this because, and so on and so forth. They just shrug off the responsibility. So in that situation, how am I supposed to respond?
Beautiful, really deep question because I'm going through it right now with some of my devotees. Beautiful question. And as you were asking the question, my mind went through 5 different scenarios. I'm like, okay, Krishna, So something happened. I hope I remember all 3, but I'll tell you the first one. In 1996 in Gita Nagari, when I just got Brahman initiation. And my spiritual master was having a darshan. And whenever gurus have darshan, everybody wants to go. Nobody wants to do service. They just find a way to dump it on someone. Everybody wants to go, So I was doing the evening cooking offering plus the arti, and my service was done. So one of my god brother, won't mention the name, came up to me that morning or that day, I don't remember, I forgot. Can you please cover my service? Because I want to go for darshan. 3, 4 people came. I said, I'm just one person. I can only cover this person. I can't cover everybody, you know. Somehow they got it and they all wanted to go for the darshan. So I covered 3, 4 people's services back to back to back to back to back, and I wasn't at the darshan. So at the end, when my service was done, I went up to the Institute House. You remember the Institute House? And everything was over. I said, okay, I guess I missed out on the fun, but that's okay. And the news got to my senior god sister, Mother Rajalila. And the very next morning, she called me and this other devotee, my god brother, who is my senior, by the way. He's my senior. And and I was so uncomfortable, but she had both of us stand there, and she said, what happened? So I told her what happened. And she told my god brother in front of me, she says, what pleases the spiritual master most is inconveniencing ourselves to see that this deity service is done instead of hearing him. If we keep on hearing and we do not have the taste to do more service, that means our hearing is for pleasure. The more we hear, it should give us the taste, the ruchi, to want to do more service and not run for darshans. If we are running for darshans and not doing service, that means our hearing is just to sit in front of a spiritual master and say, Gurudev, I'm sitting here and it's pleasure, but it's not doing anything within ourselves. So that's one thing I wanted to share, that was a learning lesson for me. That means that whoever does that to us, their hearing is not good. They're not hearing. The second scenario that I'm going through right now for quite a few months actually is I have to train people on the simple, basic Vaidhi Bhakti. And what I have been learning, what I personally have noticed is that because now ISKCON is more of a congregational basis. In the old days, it used to be ashrams. We all lived in ashrams. I was a temple devotee for 10 something years, that basic spiritual boot camp training is very weak in today's time in ISKCON, because everybody are grihastas, everybody lived the congregational life, so that basic training is not there. So how I see it is, one, Krishna's giving me more mercy, and that guy lucked out. But at the same time, I don't allow them to use me because I know they can do it. So I challenge them. So what I tell them is that please find someone else to cover your service rather than dumping it on me. And I have used that word for the past few months. Please find someone else to cover your service rather than dumping it on me. And a third point, that we just had a meeting on Saturday, a 7-8 hour meeting from my zonal supervisor. And I had the same question that you had, Sri Devi. Exact same question, because devotees use this word voluntary basis. You've heard that, right? Voluntary basis. So Sukhabha's laughing at me because she knows that's so true. She goes, so I asked him, I said, Prabhu, we're all volunteers. So how much are we volunteers when it comes to service? He had a beautiful answer. And he says, you are a volunteer until you sign up for service. Once you sign up for service, you are accountable and you're responsible. And then he said, for example, when not every married couple do parenting planning. Sometimes it can be in oopsies. When the oopsie child comes, do you abort the child? No, right? Of course, people do that nowadays, but when the oopsie child comes, oops, accountable, responsible. So that's what he said. We are only voluntary devotees until we sign up for service. As soon as we say yes to service, then we are accountable and responsible. So put the accountability back on them. And I share another pastime with Jayapataka Swami. Amazing. That he, ISKCON Atlanta Temple, this was in the old days. People were just, like you said, shrugging off responsibilities, you know. At one point, they had a building that only grihastas that were living there were doing service and also working part-time. And they were not paying, and they agreed to pay the electric bill, the water bill, and whatever bills. They're not paying for 6 months. And they were all disciples of Jayapataka Swami living there. So what happened was the temple president, I don't want to mention his name, went to Maharaj. I said, Maharaj, you know, what do I do? It's been 6 months, you know, and I don't want to kick them out. They are disciples. And Maharaj said, he gave him a book, which I'd never heard of actually. I've heard the book called 1 Minute Manager, but I never heard the book called 1 Minute Manager with a monkey. I didn't hear that book. So Maharaj said, the monkey is throwing the stick back at you, throw it back at them. I said, wow, okay, I'm going to try that trick. And he said, but for that, you have to be hard. You have to be firm. You have to be firm. You cannot be weak. Put it back at them. Let them be accountable and responsible. It's their baby. They can't say, you know what, I don't want my baby. You take care of my child. No, it's your baby. You agreed to take care of this baby. So you make sure that the baby is taken care of. There has to be some kind of reciprocation, you know? Yeah, it is tough. It is really tough because the thing is, what I see nowadays, Sri Devi, is devotees. We know that Krishna, we know that Bhagavatam is Krishna. We know that the holy name is Krishna. We know that the Acha Vigraha form is Krishna. We know the Krishna, but for me personally, this is my personal opinion, my humble opinion. Devotional service to me is Krishna. That's how I see it. So if I cannot take care of Krishna, then I have to make sure that someone else take care of him because I don't want Krishna to suffer. You know, because that is a service that's given to me by the Lord. But it should be genuine. It's not, I say, no, I'm not going to feed my child who's crying for milk because I don't have time. No, we're going to go above and beyond to feed the crying baby with milk. What is lacking nowadays, Sri Devi, is training. Seriously, coming from a management point of view, devotees lack the training, the understanding of devotional service. And that's why I think that we have to start training and teaching devotees the nectar of the devotion, because that is the Bhakta handbook. Nectar of Devotion, I was told by one proper disciple, as the Bhakta handbook. It literally speaks about devotional service for us to really understand what is the science of devotional service. Because right now, some people just, they think, oh, I'll do service and then when I can, in my convenience. It's not a commitment, it's a convenience. And we have to teach them what is the difference between convenience and commitment. I hope that helps you. I give like so many because I can definitely relate to it. Definitely can relate to it. But let me know if I haven't answered it.
Thank you. Thank you very much for an exhaustive and detailed explanation. That is very helpful.
Thank you. Yeah. Service. We are so lucky to get service. We are so blessed to get service. Because service means engaging our minds and senses, our body parts, right? Cutting, cooking, cleaning, washing, thinking, Krishna, what do you want to eat? What can I cook for you? How can I, make your kitchen look nice? Your plates are here all over. Jesus, getting dirty. How can I make your plates look nice? It's That's what service is. It is engaging. It's supposed to engage our mind and our senses and everything in Krishna service, because we're always thinking, how can I do it better? 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 And for us to have that opportunity, we are very fortunate. Krishna is giving us the opportunity to always think, how can I do it better? How can I do it better? How can I do it better? You know, like, I gave you, I gave you, chole last week. Let me give you something else this week. I'm thinking you're going to get bored with chole. I'll give you rajma this week, Or you know what? I gave you, dal this week. I think you're bored. Let me give you something, that's personal. Because the more service we do, the more it deepens our relationship with Krishna. It goes deep and deep and deep and deep and deep. It becomes very personal. Becomes very, very personal, and that's what we want, right? That's the goal of going back to Godhead, is to develop a deep relationship. And the more we engage in service, I will never forget this, the more we are cleaning our hearts of, I don't know how many lifetimes of krut. Not just this lifetime, so many lifetimes of krut, so many. So we have to clean and clean and clean and clean, like when we clean our windows, right? We just don't clean it one time. We do weekly because, dust gets on it. Like the other day, my second daughter, it's so funny, whenever a bird poop falls on the window, she just goes crazy, right? And then she goes and cleans it one day. And the next day it happens. She goes, Mom, why are these bird pooping on my windows every day? To clean, right? Same thing with our minds. We just don't clean one time. We clean many times. In fact, we were so fortunate to have two proper disciples at our temple, the Sunday program of a Father's Day. His Grace Balabhadra Prabhu and Vishnugada Prabhu, they both gave the class. And they both said, anybody that joined the temple in their days, they both asked us, they both asked the congregation, in Prabhupada's time, anybody that joined the temple, what was their first service they got? Cleaning, washing, scrubbing. Nowadays, when someone joins the temple, they don't get any of that. They sit quietly and they enjoy the fruits of the labor, as we say. They don't get any of that. That's the reason why proper disciples are they're so deep. I mean, look, at the age of 75, Candramauli Swami is dancing like a teenager. Why? How is it possible? How is it possible? They have the Shakti of Prabhupada. They did their work when they first joined the temple. We didn't do that work. But we have the acharyas as examples to show us. Are we following it? We are so blessed to have devotional service. So blessed. I think for me personally, if anyone that wants to shrug off devotional service, in one way, it's their loss and our gain. Their loss and our gain. And they'll keep on losing. They'll keep on losing until they really value and see Krishna in the service. The thing is, they haven't learned to see Krishna in the service. There's one devotee, a very young devotee, 22 years old. He told me last week, he says, Mataji, the problem is we think that Krishna needs us. No, we need Krishna. So when we do service, we are thinking, man, Krishna needs food, man. I got to go cook for him. Krishna needs lunch. Krishna needs this. I got to cook. Krishna needs this. Krishna doesn't need anything. We need Krishna. So rather than saying, Krishna needs lunch, Krishna needs gulab jamuns, Krishna needs that, I want to make that for the Lord. We got to switch it around. And the more we do that, the more it's going to make us think more and more, Krishna, I really need you. You don't need me. I'm just a dust. So I really need you. When he said that to me last week, Young guy, 22 years old. I was like, whoa, thank you for the reminder. Thank you for the reminder that, that the Lord doesn't need us. We need the Lord. And there are many devotees that many of us, just in general, we haven't learned that, we haven't understood that point. Krishna doesn't need us. We need Krishna. Because it's going to take Krishna and his spiritual ambassadors, who are the spiritual masters, take us back to Godhead. We need them to depend on them, take us back to Godhead. So we need them. They don't need us. We need them. But very nice. Yeah, devotional service is, we're so fortunate. We're so fortunate. That's a nice, I think, a post by Mother Cherry. I want to read it, where she said, yes, it is easier to give all that part. If one is very attached to so many small things, it becomes easy. If one is very attached to so many small things, it becomes easy to be attached to one's comfort. Absolutely. That is how Maya throws the diamonds, in front of our faces. The diamonds and rubies and pearls and this and that. Ooh, and we go, wow, And then she says, many people give up everything to follow Prabhupada. We have living examples. Look at this. Look at the proper disciples. At the age of 70, 72, 75. And you look at Malati Prabhu, 79 years old. Look at her. We have so many living examples traveling from, different parts, time zone, just to keep Prabhupada's house together. And then she says, many people give up everything to follow Jesus. Yes, she's right. If we can find in our hearts to give everything for Guru and Krishna, there'll be no problem. Absolutely. We got to find that. What is blocking us from giving it up for Guru and Krishna? What is the obstacle? What is the obstacle that is stopping us from sacrificing? That is stopping us from inconveniencing ourselves? That is stopping us from coming out of our comfort zone? What is the block? And the block is not in the other person. See, three hands up, one hand is pointing at, three are pointing at us. Three fingers are pointing back at us. It's on us. But it's very quick for us to blame someone else because, pass the baton to someone else. It's very easy because we don't want to look at ourselves. We want to put the blame on someone. It's because of you. Happened. We don't want to do the internal work. We want someone else to solve the problem for us. That's what Sri Devi is. It's the issue when they shrug off, They want to give it to someone else. They don't want to do the work. They want someone else to do the work for them, because they haven't learned and realized what is the block, what is the obstacle that is not allowing me to inconvenience myself, to come out of the comfort zone, to sacrifice for this one service. And the block is inside us. It's not in someone else. It's inside us. We have to take counseling from Mother Sri Devi and find the block. What is that block? To go deeper and find that block. The block is in us. We created the block.
I need counseling to find out my own blocks first.
What is that block? And sometimes the block is talk. And the thing is, we cannot find out the block on our own. I'll be honest with you. I didn't find the block on my own. You got to lean on devotees. That's why we have Sadhu Sangha.
True.
We need association. We need to reach out to one another and find out, help me figure out my block because I am blind. Help me figure out the block. And sometimes we have to talk about it and be honest. And sometimes, yes, we have to talk about our weaknesses, our faults, and talk to someone that we trust that will not judge us of our weaknesses and faults. I have this weakness. There's this one nice guy without mentioning in my congregation. He's been kind for 1 year. I knew he had this issue, but I wanted him to come and tell me. He has anger issues. And I can tell by his behavior, by his response, and so on and so forth. And 2 weeks ago, he told me, Mataji, can you help me with my anger? I said, you identified it. He says, these kind of things disturb me. This kind of things upset me. This kind of thing, he's identified it. I said, we'll talk about it. Sadhu Sangha. And he comes every time to the temple and he hears and he hears. And the more he's hearing, the more he's learning. I have anger issues and I need help. Very important point. Sukha Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for such a powerful class. I always admire your class.
Very simple. Candramauli Swami always pushes me out of my comfort zone, and then I got to figure what I got to do.
But the thing is, doing on the spot service, that is something, and that is so much appreciated. I just wanted to show my appreciation. Seriously, that is amazing that you spot on take up. I was in that spot and I couldn't do that. Frankly speaking, I was so nervous. I said, so sorry, I can't do it.
Srimati told me at 6:30 in the morning. No, 7, like 1 hour, half an hour before class. I was like, I told her, oh no.
but for me, I was oh no on that time. I didn't even got half an hour to see what's going on. But yeah, I'm so glad. I'm so grateful. I mean, actually, yeah, I wanted to express my gratitude to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And one thing I noticed about the services, so many devotees at the time of Janmashtami, you can see that loads and loads of devotees will come. I want to do the service. I want to do the service. And that when they come there, I get so scared that this is show. This is not the service attitude. They just saw people doing the service and then get all these things and then they want to do the service like show off service. They actually don't want, and that's why, if they ask me, I always say that, there is the toilet cleaning service available. Do you want to really do that?
That's when they say no.
Yeah, and then they say, no. Okay, we will think about it and then we'll come back to you. I think that's the way we should be telling them as well, because otherwise they just, I can maintain the queue. I can stand here and maintain the queue. How long are you going to do that? You just want to go around showing off you're just a volunteer. You're not going to stand there, because that also we were giving it before that. Okay, yeah, fine. You manage the queues, yeah. Half an hour after, nobody's there managing the queue, and then you say, how on the earth I'm going to do that? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. It's really difficult. So yeah, you are absolutely right.
Because they don't understand accountability, responsibility. In fact, I sound like a broken record in my temple, and half of them don't like it. And I honestly, doesn't bother me. I literally drilled this point. I said, we all have gone to school, we all have gone to college, and those of us who have gone to college, we have sacrificed our sleep, come out of our comfort zone, and given up everything to get that 1A on the math test. Apply that same determination in spiritual life, will be leaps and bounds. Exactly. And they start laughing. I said, I'm not joking, I'm serious. Leaps and bounds. There's one devotee. It's funny that you mentioned toilet cleaning, because they don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But we forget that our spiritual masters did that.
Yeah, exactly.
Our spiritual masters, they washed the toilet that everybody used. They washed the bathroom floors that everybody used. But we think, ew, I'm not touching it. There was one devotee, that I gave the service in my congregation 2-3 years ago, to do toilet cleaning. And this person's excuse was, Mataji, but if I wash the bathroom, I have to go home and take a bath. I said, good, take 3 baths. No harm in taking a bath. Oh, but it'll take some time to dry. So I said, if your spiritual master had to ask you to wash his bathroom, would you give him the same excuse? She says, no. I said, go to wash the bathrooms.
True.
Very good one. I agree. Actually, Mother Cherry, I have actually told that to my congregation. If you don't want to clean, don't use it. I'm sorry, because the thing is that that shows how much we respect the devotees. See, it comes back to the culture of respect. Do we respect the devotees who are washing the bathrooms that I am using? Do we love the devotees who are washing the bathrooms that I am using? Then how can I take devotees for granted when Krishna clearly says in Bhagavad Gita, you love my devotees first, then you come to me. In fact, if we ask, I remember from proper disciples, I used to hear their lectures when in the younger days, and I forgot one guru said this, I forgot who it was. They said, we had more faith in Prabhupada than Krishna. We know Krishna is God, we know Krishna is there, but we believed in Prabhupada. And I laid my life down for him. Just because of that, the love they had for Prabhupada, they love Krishna. It's how do we take care of the devotees? Sridevi, you might remember this. There's one of the 4 principles of community building. Treat everyone the way. I always
treat everyone you encounter as if the success of your spiritual life depends on the quality of the interactions that you have with them.
Quality.
Yes.
Yep. Not quantity, quality. So what is my quality with this person? That person, how do I treat them? How do I treat them? Am I treating them properly? If I don't want to be treated that way, why do I treat them that way? And until today, I tell some of my devotees, I said, if you're practicing for 1-2 years, I can be nice to you. But if it's 10-12 years, I'm going to get the danda, I said. If you don't like to be treated that way, why do you treat the others this way? No. It's very wrong. It's offensive because you're saying, no, treat me specially, but I can treat you any way I want. Krishna is not going to be pleased. The key is, we have to do service that's pleasing and pleasurable to Krishna. So what pleases Krishna? How we treat the devotees, how we do the service. Do we treat the devotees properly? Are we taking care of them? Or are we taking them for granted? If I don't want to be treated that way, why am I treating that person that way? This is the self-reflection part, which I think it's, to me personally, I really, really believe in self-reflection. I'm not a Shastric scholar. Even my husband knows that. He quotes verses like blah, 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 blah. I'm very bad at that. I'm not a Shastric scholar. I'm not, whatever. I really believe that self-reflection, self-realization, they take a moment and just check. It's so important to help us go deeper in our hearts. So important, because that I feel is the foundation of being honest in our Krishna consciousness. Can I be Krishna conscious? Honestly, clearly, do I want to be Krishna conscious? And how do I be Krishna conscious? Honest. And we have to be honest with ourselves. Anasuya, do I honestly want to be Krishna conscious? And if I do, how? Am I ready to be honest? Am I ready to be truthful? These are the questions that we have to ask ourselves every time. Because that is the foundation of our Krishna consciousness, that we have to be honest with ourselves and not do this, frontline facade, celebrity show, very important. I took so much of your time. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Well, quite a bit. Any other questions? I took so much of your time. Very, very deep topic, If there are no questions, I thank you all for tolerating me. If I have said anything that is offensive, please forgive me. It's completely from my own realization, what has helped me, and the little that I'm sharing. And if I said anything, forgive me, but thank you all for allowing me to speak and share and tolerate. I think the thing is tolerating me. That's the key point. It's tolerating me. So thank you all so much. Vanchakavadibhyascha, Kripa Sindhubevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
His Holiness Candramauli Swami ki jai.
Jai.
Yeah.
Thank you
Hare
very
Krishna.
much for today's class. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Hare Krishna. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji,
Thank you. Hare
for the
Krishna.
powerful.
Hare
Thank
Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.